So that's a joke, by the way. But you know, so we're having fun. We're having a good time. I gotta say this though, man, dude. The whole like, this is taking a way different turn, and it's gonna get really like somber really quick. But man, dude, the whole Drew thing is really hitting me hard, man.
Yeah,
Like
it should.
that sucks, dude.
Well, I mean, I had the drama with Trey, and then I actually was at a get together with Veronica for one of her friends' birthday, and I got that text from you guys, and I tried to hide it on my face, but I guess I don't have a poker face because the lady whose birthday it was goes, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "Oh, I'm fine." She goes, "No, seriously, what's wrong?" And I was like, "Well, do I tell her?" And I said, "Well, a really good friend of mine passed away, and then not only that, this is where it gets crazy for me. This morning, another musician friend of ours from Houston, Jesse, my friend since seventh grade, was in a band with a guitar player who was just a brilliant musician, and he passed away. And he was probably 10-year
Not
old.
Jesse, but the other guy.
Yeah, the other guy did. So, and the guy was like probably 10 years older than me. He wasn't that much older. It's like, geez, it was just so much heaviness. And, I remember we had a Not Called Common show when we were still the Red Letters, and we had Bob and Rick sitting in our green room, whatever that was. And I remember Bob had just started playing guitar, and he was telling us all about how they were going to start a band and they were going to call it Rhythm, and they hadn't even started the band yet. And I remember the first time I saw them, I just thought, wow, they're so great. So we all kind of grew up doing this music thing together, and you become a fan, like you guys, y'all are my family, and that's how these guys were. They were like family. So I mean, y'all don't know this, and I didn't share this at all today with anybody else, but Drew actually was trying to get me back to Dallas to join his band, and he was trying to figure out a way to pay me so I could, make money playing. So it's just
The band that he was in before he got sick, that Drew's
yeah,
Peace, whatever.
his Peace Crush, yeah. And he had a guitar player, but he also did solo stuff, and it just he was all of the guys in Rhythm were great, and he was not an exception to the rule. He was the nicest kind of. The thing I didn't put in the story that I put on Facebook was when I met him here in Abilene, when I saw him, he snuck Ireland into a bar here in Abilene. And so there she is. And I think she's only like third grade, legs just dangling off of this high bar stool while we just, he had just got his record tattoo on the top of his hand. And it was like, long lost friends that hadn't seen each other. And then that night when I went to play, literally 30 minutes before we went on stage is when I found out that my mom passed away, and he was the first person I talked to. So it's just real sad.
Yeah, the last, well, no, we had some interaction with him over the years, but one of the funny things about an interaction that we had already gotten married, and it's when Rhythm was having that little mini concert in Virgin Records, and they had their picture up on the wall in there. Well, they finished their concert, and then they're just talking to the fans and stuff that were there afterwards. Well, Anna went up to go give them a hug because they had already played our wedding, and I was standing back, just kind of leaning up against one of the pillars in Virgin Records, and Drew like looked over at me and was like, dude, he goes, come over here and like give us a hug. He goes, you don't get to be like the guy that's like, oh no, I'm too famous to come. He's like, we played your freaking wedding, dude. He goes, come over here and give us a hug, man. And so I went over there and gave him a hug. And as he's hugging me, he's like, dude, we played your flipping wedding. You're not too cool to come give us a hug. You're not the famous one. Our picture's up on the wall,
Yeah.
So dude, I love the guy. Like you said, I love all the guys in Rhythm. And
There's not a bad guy. There's not a
there's
bad
not.
guy.
The video that I
I
shared,
don't have any cool stories.
and
Drew or
the
with him.
the video that I shared on Facebook, I just happened to, like, last year or the year before, just randomly come across, because we were trying to show Isabella and Chase, like, they'd heard the Rhythm CD, but they wanted to see the guys like perform. And so I was like, there's gotta be a video somebody put up on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
And so we came across that video, and I mean, the editing on it is okay. It could be edited better, but
You could tell an amateur did it.
sure.
Well, but
I
it was
tell you what,
also
though,
the time that it was done. I mean, you can get video. I can look like a
Right.
professional doing what I'm doing because I have
Yeah.
this software.
but I tell you what, though, that the song that the video Smile, I thought the song was so fitting for what everybody that knew Drew is going through right now. It's
Mhm.
just kind of like, that's just a happy song that I think Drew would want played. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and then the one lyric in the song that they put in there, that's a Bible verse. It's like, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning.
Yeah.
It's like, we're all upset right now, but hey, you know what? Happiness is coming along. Drew wouldn't want us to be upset. I have a feeling
Oh,
Drew would
yeah.
want us to be happy, and he would want us to go listen to some music, go to a live show, and just have a good time.
Yeah. I will say, when I got to church, it was a different experience,
Yeah.
putting on my bass, because
Yeah.
that's what he played. And
Exactly.
so the last song that we played has this kind of build up part. And I remember he would always do that thing where he'd lean all the way over and he would kick his leg. And
Yep.
I did a very old man's poor attempt at that. Just because I was like, thank you for I mean, the music was great. The shows were great, but I got to know him as a man. And, for a guy his age, he lived a lot of life,
Absolutely.
Because, I
isn't
mean,
that what you want people to say about you when you die? Like,
yeah,
this
I mean, he
person
was
lived
never
life.
sad. Yeah, he was never sad. He was, or at least I didn't see it. He was never angry. He was always gracious. He was always funny. He was the first Christian I heard say a bad word, and say, "Man, this is who I am." I know it sounds silly, but I mean, he was just such a great guy, a great bandmate, great friend, great bass player.
See, that was my impression of Drew. Like, I never once had a conversation with him, never once spent any time, hanging out with him or whatever. But my impression of Drew was there were the guys in Rhythm, and then there was Drew, right? Like, he stuck out. Like, to me, he didn't fit in the band. Like, I was like, what is this guy doing in this band?
Yeah.
Right. And, whereas Reggie and the other guys, they're, I don't want to sound disparaging or anything. They had the image of a Christian band, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Drew didn't fit that image.
Yeah. I mean, he had that
Yeah.
blonde curly hair at that time.
Yes,
He
it
looked
was
like
the
he came from
just.
California.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
looked.
right. He
Well,
looked
I
like
think
he
he
Well,
was.
that's where he's from. He's
Yeah.
from California.
He looked like he just walked off the beach, just put his
super
surfboard
tan.
up,
Yeah.
picked up the bass, and got to business, right?
Yeah.
And then seeing pictures of him and his, what he looked like now with the long hair and the beard and looking like Jesus.
Looking like
I was
Jesus.
gonna say he was the modern day Jesus.
Yeah, and I'll put a photo up so people can see it if we put this online. But
Yeah, put it in there for sure.